So I'm sure you guys have heard of Zone 2 or MAF being tossed around in other videos or articles or discussed on forums, but you aren't really sure exactly what it is. To break it down very easily at the essence, it's just training at an effort level that works on building up your aerobic endurance. And your aerobic endurance is the thing that helps you go longer. So we can break things down into two different systems, the aerobic system and the anaerobic system. The aerobic system is usually within those easy to medium effort levels. So think running or jogging or a nice easy bike ride or something like that. While anaerobic is usually those harder efforts where you're really pushing it, and those are like those high intensity interval training stuff. The reason building up your aerobic system is so important is because it helps you go longer and will help you in any sport, whether that's triathlon, running. Everything about endurance sport is based around this. The best athletes have the biggest base of endurance and are usually the ones that continuously build on that foundation to keep improving on it. So how do you build your aerobic system, you must be asking? Well, the best way is through Zone 2 training, and a lot of it. Everyone's Zone 2 is different, but you can calculate your Zone 2 heart rate range through the MAF method, which was developed by Phil Maffetone. No relation to the name. MAF actually stands for maximum aerobic function. So that is the level, like the ceiling that your heart rate can go during any workout in Zone 2. So for example, if your heart rate is 155, your heart rate can only go up to that, or at least it should. Sometimes it will go over, and that's totally fine, but you want to have it where it goes up and comes right back down underneath. You want to stay within the zone underneath that. Anything underneath that is good on working up your aerobic endurance. So the basic formula that you can use to calculate this number is just 180 minus your age. There are a few exceptions to this where those can add or subtract from your max heart rate. I'll actually leave a link to Phil Maffetone's actual article where he lays out all of the points, and I'll also right here list everything that can add or subtract from your heart rate. So once you have that number, let's say for example your heart rate is 155, like that's the number that you got. You shouldn't just be training at 154 the entire time. You want to keep it well underneath that. When I usually train in Zone 2, I usually keep it 10 to 15 beats under. That way I'm sure that I'm in my aerobic zone, because while the MAF method does give you a pretty good number, it's not necessarily the most accurate. So you want to just be wary of that and be sure to train underneath that. And it's not gonna hurt you if you do. Don't worry. Most people usually wanna push it up a little bit, but you should always take the lower number and train underneath that always, because you're working on building up your endurance at those levels. So even if you trained at, let's say, 135 and your max heart rate is 155, if you get super efficient at 135, slowly you'll be getting faster and faster and faster, and then when it actually comes time to race day and stuff like that, you'll be able to push it that much more. So when I go out for training runs, I usually use a heart rate monitor. I personally use the Wahoo Ticker chest strap one, but I know there's a bunch of different kinds. You can get one for your watch. There's one that goes right here on your arm. Those are optical sensors, the watch and the arm one. But I personally have found that using a chest strap actually works the best, because number one, it's closest to your heart, so it's getting a very accurate reading. And especially in this type of training, you want to be very accurate, because you do not want your heart rate to show lower than what it actually is. Because if it does that, then you could possibly be leaning into overtraining, which is then gonna hurt you in the long run. So definitely, I think it's worth the investment. I'll leave a link to this specific one that I use in the description down below. I have used this for over a year now, and it's worked great for me through all types of weather, whether it's snowing or it's super sunny out. Everything has been working great. I use it with Zwift. Anytime I'm working out, I wear this thing pretty much. So I definitely think it's paid off in the long. So why is Zone 2 better than any other training? Well, usually when people work out, they usually want to feel like they've been worked out and like are pushing the pace just a little bit and getting that nice burn. But unfortunately, when people do that, they kind of fall into this gray middle zone area that isn't either aerobic or anaerobic training. So you kind of get this low return on investment, and you're not really working out any specific system. Whereas if you're just training in Zone 2, you're specifically working on your aerobic system and just building up your endurance. Or if you're doing high intensity, you're just working on your anaerobic system. Additionally, Zone 2 can help keep you healthy because you're not continuously going to this gray zone or of overtraining, and you're able to recover quicker and still feel like you got a great workout in. Now that you've calculated your Zone 2 max heart rate, you're ready to go out and train, which is awesome. But the one thing I will say is the first time that you do it, it's going to feel so slow. Like you're basically gonna feel like you're walking, and sometimes you actually might be. And trust me, that is perfectly normal. When I first started training, I felt like I was going backwards. I was like, how is this supposed to make me run faster by going slower? It just didn't make sense to me. But I stuck with it and I've seen great improvement. But there are going to be times where you're gonna have to walk up a hill or even walk for the entire workout, and that's perfectly fine, perfectly normal. Don't fret, just stay consistent and it will definitely pay off. Also, there will be times where you're out for a run or a bike or something like that, and your pace might be slower than your previous run, and that's perfectly normal. There are so many multitude of factors that could be changing, whether it's the weather or you didn't get enough rest the night before, you haven't eaten enough. There's so many different things. I wouldn't fret too much about it because if you stay consistent, you will improve over a longer period of time. And that's what you want in this sport. You want to have longevity, you want to be healthy, you want to continuously improve over a longer span of time. Don't think about this one run as like the end all be all. Just keep going, I promise it'll pay off. Additionally, whether you're walking up a hill or running or anything like that, your heart actually cannot tell the difference. It just knows that it's being stressed in a good way. So whether you're walking up a hill and your heart rate's 140 or you're sprinting down the hill at 140, your heart is still being stressed at the same amount. So don't think about, oh no, like I have to walk up this hill. I do it all the time, and I've been training in this for the past like year and a half. I still have to walk up some hills. Sometimes I'll be able to run up them, but anyway, you just gotta stay consistent, stay in the zone. It pays off in the end. So when I first started this type of training, I was usually going to the gym and just basically trying to beat myself in 2 miles every single time. I would go to the treadmill, I would just put it up to one notch higher than it was the day before and just try to keep going and try to beat myself every single day. Unfortunately, after all of that training, I was beat up, I was really tired, I wasn't seeing the improvements. I would try to keep going harder and harder, but I just seemed to be falling flat. So I kind of decided to Google some ways to make me better, and Zone 2 was one of the things that ended up coming up. I kind of thought it was a bit of a farce at first because I was like, how does going slower make you faster? That doesn't make any sense at all. But I decided I would try it and see if it worked, because I was kind of hitting a plateau and didn't really know where to go. But I'm really glad that I started it and I kept with it, because keeping with it is one of the most important things. Because when I first started, I felt so slow. I really just felt that this wasn't going to work or do anything. But I kept with it, and I still am doing it to this day, and I will continue to do it because I now see the benefits of it. Because when I originally first started in my Zone 2 training, I was doing around like 10-30 minute per mile pace. running, and then like for my bike, I was at like 130, 140 watts or something like that. But as I continued, I slowly began to get better and better and better. And now it's kind of crazy, but I can run over 14 miles at a sub 9-minute pace, which is something that I never thought I would be able to do ever. It's kind of astonishing to me because I always wanted to like be one of the people who had like a half marathon as like an easy run. And now I can do that. It definitely wasn't easy. It 100% didn't happen overnight. It took months of dedicated training, and now I can continue to build off of this and still improve and improve and improve. One of the people that is famous for doing the MAF or Zone 2 method is this guy named Mark Allen, who is a 6-time Ironman world champion. And apparently his MAF pace got down to somewhere in like the 5 minutes per mile, which is wild to me. So I hope one day I'll be able to do that. But I still got to work on it. I still got to like improve. But I'm going to continue to grow. So this type of training definitely takes a lot of patience and a lot of dedication. And I know that the first few times you're going to do it, it's not going to feel great. You're going to feel slow. But I'm telling you, please just stay consistent with it. It'll pay off in the end. I'm still continuing to improve every single day. I'm trying to work on dialing it in even more. But if you work on it day in, day out, you will definitely see results over the long run. You'll typically see results start to happen within 3 months or so. When I did it, I started to see it coming around in at 2 months, and still week over week now, I've started to see more improvements, which is great. So just stay consistent, it will pay off. The other thing is when you should do this training. Well, the good news is you can do it all year round. There is no time limit of when you have to do it by or whatever. You can do this every single day if you wanted to. But I would definitely say if you're in your race season and you want to focus on some more high intensity training, then 80% of your training should be in zone 2, while the other 20 should be in those high intensity zones, whether that's a bike or a run or anything like that. But if it's your off season, I would 100% say go all in on this, every run, every bike, because you will work on building up your aerobic foundation. So that way in the next season, when you do start to want to dial it up or like kick it up a notch in your high intensity training, you'll have that great foundation to then build off of. So that's what I've been doing. This past season, so this past off season, from about November to the end of March, I was all zone 2. My heart rate didn't get over 151 for the entire time. And now I've started to incorporate more high intensity stuff because I'm getting into more of my race season. Even though I know a lot of races are canceled right now, I'm still looking to prep myself for my upcoming Ironman in September. But I want to be prepared, and that's why I'm starting to incorporate more high intensity stuff. But over the off season, I worked on my aerobic endurance, so that way I can continue to build off of it in this race season. So I really hope this helps. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any more questions about Zone 2. I'm happy to cover anything more. I can definitely go in a little bit more depth, but I just wanted to give you guys like a top line view of this. But if you like it, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.